Everyone, I'm working on the cross hem tee, and as I've come across a couple things that were hard for me, I thought I would post a video just in case anybody else was having some of the same problems. So the first thing I ran into was that I needed to do a hem band and a neckband, but I didn't see it anywhere on the pattern. So one thing I did was just measure from here, from one edge to the other, and it came out to about like 26 inches for me. In the instructions, she says to have it go over a little bit. Let's see, the band, she says to go over it and then cut off the excess. See, there's the extra there and also there. I didn't do that. I just kind of measured it to be exact, and I still had a little bit extra. So I have a little extra at the end. I've kept it there for now. I also wanted this part to be finished. So two things for that is you can either add another band on this part down here by measuring the bottom from here to here and doing about 3 inches, and then doing the same thing that you did for this on adding a band. You could also fold it under before you sew it on, just like you would do a regular hem. Fold it over, press it, sew it. So that's for the hem band, the hemming on the first part. The next issue is the arm scythe, which I'm not even sure if that's how it's said, but basically the sleeve. And so when putting this part on, I didn't know, is that right sides of the fabric together, right and wrong? I have no idea. So I went to the group, which can offer you help, and one of the issues they brought forward was paying attention to the back and the front. So this is on the pattern, and that's going to show you which part attaches to the front of the top and the back. So this is the sleeve. This part of the sleeve is going to attach to the front. This part is going to attach to the back, which is important when you're putting it together. So what I learned, you have to pay attention on how you cut your fabric. So for me, I just got one of those little friction pins, wrote an F for front. So I know that that part attaches to the front. So on the pattern, there's usually some little notches or something at about this point and this point. And that shows you where to line it up to, basically on here. So that you line it up here and maybe there and there, wherever those two little points are. So I didn't see those points on here, so I just kind of put a pin on this point and this point on the fabric, and then tried to connect it there. So you're going to start by putting right sides together. So here's the front of the shirt. I've sewed the shoulder seams together already. Here's the front, here's the back. Now I have the sleeve, and I have the right sides touching together. So here's the middle point, the middle pin, and then I just kind of came at the end and pinned it there. So in the instructions, she says to pull it to stretch, pull it to fit. So basically, see how this is all baggy. Now when I sew, say I start here, or here, this is so hard to show with one hand, but I'll show you from this point. So say I start here. Now I'm going to pull the fabric along so that it always stays flat and even, not baggy. See how this is baggy? So you're going to be pulling it. This is going to be feeding into the machine. So you'll pull it this way so that it's always flat and even. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So one good way to do that is by holding it from the other point You'll do a couple stitches here, start feeding it in, hold it at the next pin wherever you have it. Say you have it 1, 2, 3, at those 3 points. I've also seen people pin it the whole way through, but you just want it to be flat and even, whether you pin it or you sew it. Here's a shot of how it looks like after I've pinned it. The sleeve is underneath, and here's the front side of the shirt, the back side of the shirt, right sides are together. So I started with the middle, pin the ends, and I'm gonna link a video or put it in the sewing playlist of a lady who did, she just pinned it all along the way, making it even, and we'll see how this turns out. I'm at the machine and I'm nearing the end of one sleeve. So if you can see right there, right here, it's baggy. I guess like there's a little more extra there. So I'm gonna pull it, but just a little bit. It's not gonna be like with the lettuce hem where you stretch it out as much as possible. You're just doing it slightly to even it up. And just in case you don't have a marker on your machine that shows you 3/8, because the whole thing is going to be sewn at a 3/8 seam allowance. So I put this here so that I can feed my fabric in and follow it through to get a straight line. Straightening out your fabric along here and underneath, and I move it along like this because it's a curve, and that seems to help too. So first I'm lining up these two when I started sewing it. So one part is the sleeve, one part is the bodice, and you'll see it start to, like it's curving the fabric. So after I sew a few stitches, I'll keep straightening it out and smoothing it out here. So I'll sew a couple stitches, then you'll see that this will start to come up. I smooth it down, and then I keep sewing. The neckband. For some reason on my pattern I couldn't find it, so I had to cut and measure my own. So the way to do that is get a measuring tape, line it up on the inside all the way around, all the way back around, and I got 29 inches. Then you're going to take that, you're going to times it by 0.85, and my measurement came out to 24.65. Now, I don't know what 0.65 is, so I went to 75, that little line right there, because better to have more than to have too little. So after I cut it on the bias, which is the fabric going this way, I had 2 inches, folded it in half, laid right sides together, pin it. There's a whole long thing about it. I have some other videos about it, but maybe I can go over it real quick. Basically on your collar, you're going to mark it at the 4 points. Front, back, side, side. You're going to do the same thing for your shirt. Back, front, side, side. And then you're going to match up the pins on your collar to your shirt. Then you can do I did a stretch stitch because you want it to be able to stretch. You can do a zigzag stitch, and I did it at a 3/8 inch allowance. So that's kind of what that looks like right there. Go all the way around. You're going to have to hold it between the pins. So say you start here. I also like to mark it in between. So I'll fold these two in half, and then I'll put a pin mark here. I do that for each. That's like a quarter mark. say you start stitching here, you're going to hold it at the next pin so that it's level, straight. It's going to help close up the shirt a little bit. So like I said, I have other videos on it. I'm going to put a link to the video that I used in the sewing playlist. So after you do a 3/8 seam allowance, then afterwards you can press it down this way with the iron, and then you can go over it again on the outside. So you're going to catch this part on the outside, and you can do a triple stitch. So triple stitch looks like 3 lines like that on your sewing machine, but it kind of just does it 3 times. So don't be scared or intimidated. So those are some of my fixes and issues I came up with, or rather issues I came up with and fixes for the winter wear design cross T hem.